Okie dokie. So we are Shuffle. I'm Gwen O'Donnell. Presenting with me is going to be Gabby Hoover, Charles Wallach, Reed Dumont, James Ngari, and Hunter Hampton. Gabby.
I'm so sorry. Hi, so today we're going to go over our team, the problem that we're trying to solve, how we're going to solve it, what we plan on getting done next term, and how we will define whether or not we were successful. And then at the end, we'll have time for questions.
Okie dokie. So our team roles have changed a little bit over the course of this term, so we wanted to refresh everyone on what we've been working on. I've been doing project management work as well as user experience research with Charles, Reed, and Gabby. James, Charles, and Reed have been working on the user interface design of our app as well, with James leading the effort. Gabby has also been working on backend development of our product with Hunter, which you will see a demo of later in the presentation.
So at the beginning of our project, we created a user persona based off of initial research that we conducted. So meet Fred. Fred is new to town and doesn't know anyone, so he's interested in meeting new people. He has major interest in music and would love to meet others through shared music taste and interest. Going through his journey, we highlight his use of Shuffle in order to meet his need for finding other like-minded individuals through his music taste, so we can chat with people and eventually make new friends. From Fred considering the app to exploring, matching, chatting, and ultimately meeting, we see how we can solve the challenge of how can we connect individuals with each other based on their shared music preferences. So our big idea stemming from our challenge statement is we want to help music lovers connect with one another and form new friendships online through their shared music taste.
For people looking to make connections who share the same music taste, Shuffle is an interactive app that can connect you to people online through your shared music preferences. Unlike Bumble BFFs or other similar friendship finding apps, Shuffle uses your music preference data from Spotify to allow you to connect with others easily and break the ice effortlessly. Shuffle will match users using their data from Spotify so that they are connected to people who have similar music tastes to them. Users will be able to send each other music through Spotify and play it seamlessly through the app. Our unique profiles revolve around music taste, unlike similar applications, allowing users to find new music and new people to listen to music with. Our algorithm will show users other people who have similar music and genres to them and allow them to message users right off the bat, with the other users being able to accept or decline messages, just like on Instagram. Overall, Shuffle isn't just another way to find new friends. It's a way to connect to people that you never would have connected with otherwise. Connect with people through music, the great uniter.
All right, so let's talk about some of our research process. We sent out user surveys across Reddit groups, Discord servers, and group chats. And those surveys helped us gauge interest in an app like ours, as well as see what drew people to our competitors. An example of how this helped in our process would be that we originally thought of making a purely music-focused friendship-making app, where even user profile images would have been optional. We found, however, that people felt a need for profile images in apps like these, and we're not willing to part with that. So we took that feature and required a photo in user profiles, which you'll see later. On top of this, we also delved into psychology papers and textbooks to gain information on the psychology of friendships. A common belief is that we believe friendships are formed by luck, i.e. being in the right place at the right time. Friendships are actually driven by an effort from an individual. The aforementioned belief that friendships are luck-based often lead people down a lonelier path statistically. Individuals who struggle with making friends often fall into two categories. You have like overt and covert avoidance type people. Overt avoidance type people fail to show up at events and gatherings, and covert avoidance types fail to engage with people at those gatherings. We can think of our app as an event. Users who get the app don't necessarily fall under the overt avoidance category, but there will be many users who fall under the covert avoidance category. Tinder and Bumble feature a lot of instances where users match often, but there's no further engagement between users. We found that by lowering the barrier to interact with one another in the app, we can make it easier for covert avoidance type users to interact and make friends. This is ultimately what led us to make the decision of adopting a format for our app where anyone could send a message to anyone. The only barrier would be the receiver of the message who could accept or decline messages they received.
All right, so our user interface designs evolved over the term based on feedback we received from user testing sessions conducted by our team. These changes ranged from important elements such as fonts and colors to layout and readability. The feedback from our sessions helped improve our design system, making it more consistent and purposeful. After the basic structure of the application was achieved, many of the changes we made to the homepage and user profile page were focused around enhancing the experience of those screens. A majority of the feedback we received during our testing sessions focused on how information was being portrayed to our users. So our designs went through 6 iterations from our low fidelity screens to our most recent design, version 5, in order to boost the user's overall experience, making it more meaningful and enjoyable to connect with new people who shared similar interests. So I'm going to pass this over to Reed, who's going to discuss our usability findings with these screens.
Thanks, James. So you can see through our changes throughout each iteration here. These changes were brought upon through our extensive user testing, as James said. In the homepage, low fidelity prototype, we at first experimented with a constant bubble type messages button in the lower corner of the screen. Users we found were very confused by this, and many thought the button to be a type of live help feature. So this prompted us to shift our direction to a nav bar that was further iterated upon and kept up in our later iterations, as you can see. So I'm going to talk about the user profile now. Our user profile went through some of the most iterations in our prototype. In the first iteration, we tried to contain the profile all to one page. And in testing, we found that there just wasn't enough information there that displayed the focus of our app being music. So that prompted us to then implement a scrolling profile that largely featured a person's music tastes. However, in further testing, we found that information to be cluttered and unorganized. So on top of this, users were confused on how to message someone from their profile. So that led us to our V3 iteration, which featured the large message button, but users found its placement jarring. This led us to our V4 and V5 prototypes, which grouped like information and sectioned the information in the profile to be more digestible to users. V4 and V5 also turned the page into an overlay, which allowed the temporary replacement of the nav bar into a dedicated message input.
Great, thanks, Reed. So we also delved into backend development this term so that we would have a solid foundation for developing our high fidelity prototype next term with a focus on usability and interaction in our development moving forward. So Hunter and I started by consulting with developers that we knew to determine what technologies would best meet our needs. For database management, we used Firebase Firestore as our real-time database. We also hosted a server using Node.js to transfer data between Firebase, user Spotify accounts, and our front end. And to simplify running a server, we used the Node Package Express. So one of the really exciting things about our application is that we're able to use the Spotify API to use real music data about our users in our app. So with the Spotify API, we're able to authenticate users, get basic user information, search for and play music in the app. And in the future, we hope to use this data to generate meaningful matches between users. We also used jQuery on the front end to shorthand a lot of vanilla JavaScript. And in the future, we're going to research more frameworks for simplifying front-end development.
Thanks. Like Gabby said, her and I have been working pretty hard on the back end to develop the core features and functionality of our app. We wanted to integrate this early so we'd be ready for the winter term. And here's a quick demo of the work that we've accomplished. So right here, I'm logging in with the Spotify API. And this is going to get back some information that we need to start the user process on our shuffle. So at this point, I'm typing in my information. And it's when I complete this, the profile, it's going to post all this information to our Firebase database. Right here, you're seeing that the anthem is being searched for. So this is live searching the Spotify API for songs without the need to refresh the browser at all. So once I complete the profile, you're going to see that I'm now on the browsing page and I can see all the other users in the database live. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Gabby, and then I'm going to refresh the other client so that I can see myself that's now populated in there. And then I can initiate real-time one-one chat with other browsers. This also includes timestamps, and it'll separate it based on who had sent the message. So here's the profile. You can see that there's the profile picture, all of the information that Gabby had typed in on her profile setup. And as well, we do have the anthems, which are the Spotify songs that they requested right in as an iframe right on the user profile. Other features that weren't visualized in the demo included blocking and unblocking users, as well as recursively deleting your account from our database for privacy. So looking at our plans for the future, so we plan to, number one, continue backend development and begin front-end development. Number two, continue user experience interviews on our coded prototypes. And number three, integrate our backend features that you saw in the demo into our other UI prototypes.
So you can see our plan for the future here. Our timeline is broken down into 5 key development phases next term with also room for user testing. In phase 1, we're going to develop and test our profile creation. In phase 2, we'll focus on the home and the profile pages. In phase 3, we're going to focus on the chat pages and the chatting system. In phase 4, we'll focus on playing songs on people's profile and sending songs in the chat. And then in phase 5, we have time for a general cleanup of the prototype, and we can focus on fixing any issues or adding any additional features that our research throughout the term deemed most important. We'll also spend the last 2 weeks working on our final presentation and our case study.
Yeah, thank you, Gabby. So our phases are each 3 weeks long, allowing for communication and relaying of research results from the UX team to the front-end team. During each phase, the front-end team will have time to create the feature for the week in a solid format before relaying the tests to the UX team. The UX team will then conduct tests of the features and report back on how to the front-end team on how things went before finalizing the feature and how it works. This process will continue through each phase, except the final phase, which will be mostly bug fixing and user satisfaction testing. Our project success criteria for next term. We plan on doing 5 rounds of user testing. This includes at least 5 user interviews per round. We want to have a coded prototype that demonstrates the application that we want to create. This includes messaging, a Spotify login, and auto-populated profile creation from Spotify. And then we also wanted a high rate of user satisfaction after testing. So during our usability testing, we will be asking users if they are satisfied with our application and if they would use it. If 80% of our users say that they're satisfied in the final round of testing, then we think our project will be a success. And that's all we have for you today. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will take questions and comments now.